Okay, so the only raised garden beds that I have ready for planting are the ones that have my arched trellis in front of the fireplace in the back of the house. And it's an indoor fireplace, but you can see the brick up the back of the house. I've got the arch in front of it. So this is ready to be planted in. This soil mixture is a mixture of topsoil and manure compost and a little bit of Miracle-Gro soil that I had left over. So this is all mixed together and it's dark, it's beautiful, and it's ready to be planted in. So the very first thing that I want to plant in this garden bed are my sugar snap peas from Baker Creek. Now if you notice here, I purposely left a gap in between where the trellis starts and the end of the garden bed. There's about 4 or 5 inches here, and I'm actually going to grow my sugar snap peas on this side of the trellis, and they'll grow up the trellis from the inside, and that leaves me all of this room here, almost 2 feet, to plant other stuff, which we will be doing today. But I want to start with my peas. I've had my peas soaking in a glass of water for about 4 hours because I'm actually really late planting these. I should have planted them like 4 or 5 weeks ago, but I didn't have any beds ready to go. So, you know, better late than never. Once it gets so hot, they're not going to really produce for me like I want them to, but I'm going to get them in the ground and just hope for the best. So I've got my little shovel here, and these are supposed to be planted 4 inches apart. So I'm just going to kind of create a little trench here. And I suppose I could be doing this from the other side, but I have my yoga mat out here because the ground is wet, so I'm just gonna stay over here where my yoga mat is. These are supposed to be planted 1 inch deep, 4 inches apart. So I've got my trench, I guess it's a little deeper than 1 inch, and I'm just gonna place my peas roughly 4 inches apart. And then I'm gonna cover them up, not like super deep or anything, but you know, enough. I am so happy to finally be getting stuff in these beds. It has been a journey and a half getting to this point. So the purpose of me soaking the seeds is just to get them to germinate a little bit faster, since they will already have been soaking in water. And that's just because I am impatient and already behind schedule. So I want peas as quickly as I can get peas. All right. I'm not gonna plant this entire other half of this bed because I've got a couple other things that I'm hoping to grow up the trellis, but I am gonna pop in maybe 4 or 5 more. So I'm just gonna trench it out a little bit here. Okay. And then pop in a few more. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little line right here because this is where my last pea is, and I would like to just be able to keep these straight. Okay, so there are my peas. The next 2 things I'm going to plant are my, it's actually a burpee seed, my sweet peas, the Galaxy mixed colored one, and my Blushing Susie Black-Eyed Susan vine. Oh, I'm so excited for this. So I'm actually gonna plant the Susie vine on the end. I want it to be what you walk in, the very first thing that you see looking at it from the front. And then I'm going to plant the sweet peas next to it, in between the Blushing Susie and my actual peas. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. I've got about maybe 2-ish feet to work with. The plant spacing for the sweet peas is 6 inches. And then the plant spacing for the Susie vine is 10 to 12 inches. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plant probably 3 of these, like very near each other, and then thin them when it comes time. And then the sweet pea, I'll probably plant 2 of them because the plant spacing is much more forgiving. So I'll end up with more sweet peas and less Susie vine, but I think I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna make, let's see, the depth for the sweet pea is 2 inches, and the depth for the Susie vine is only 1/8 of an inch. So I don't think I'm even gonna trench at all for the Susie vine, but I'll trench a little bit, and I've got my line here that I drew so I know where my peas ended. So I'm just gonna do a trench here, and I'm really glad I don't have to water any of this because it is raining heavily today. All right, I think we're probably past the fear of frost. My 10-day forecast looks good, high 60s, low 70s for the next 10 days. But it's only May 2nd, but I just don't trust it because where I live in upstate New York, it's just finicky. It could snow tonight, honestly, you know? So I'm still gonna wait before I do a full transplant. These seeds are really cool. They're like little balls. That's neat. All right, so I want to keep it away from my sugar snap peas. So I guess I'll plant 3 of these, that's fine. All right, cover those up, and then black-eyed Susan, blushing Susie vine. Try saying that 5 times fast. Ooh, did not get very many of these. Okay, so with the seed depth only being 1/8 inch, I'm going to plop 3 of them here. And I don't know, if all 3 of them germinate, I might leave them and see what happens. We'll see. All right, I'm going to just kind of roughly cover these up with some dirt. All right, so we've got this whole side on the other side of the trellis planted, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with the Susie vine and the sweet peas, but I'm not planting sugar snap peas on the other side. I'm going to plant green beans, and I'm not going to do it yet. Green beans are not as, they're a bit more frost tender than the sugar snap peas are. Sugar snap peas want this like really cool early spring temperature, so I'm not going to do the green beans yet. I'm going to wait a little while, but the sweet peas are planted, and then I'm just going to head over to the other side and plant the sweet peas and the blushing Susie vine the same way I did over here. Okay, I've got that other side planted with the sweet peas and the blushing Susie vine. So now we're back over where I originally was, where I planted the sweet peas. I'm going to plant some carrots. So I have a Kaleidoscope Blend burpee seed, and I actually got this, it was a free seed packet, the St. Valerie carrot from Baker Creek. So I'm going to plant these guys. So it says in the packet that it likes light, fluffy soil. So with this having just been, I just did this yesterday. I just put the soil in here yesterday. I think it's already pretty light and fluffy. So I'm just gonna kind of go through and shift it around a little bit, because I get what they're saying. They want to make sure that the soil is not so compact that the seeds, you know, don't have enough energy to do what they need to do. I've seen people cover theirs with cardboard before, and I believe that's just to help ensure that the soil does not dry out. My 5-day forecast has rain forecasted every single day for 5 days straight, so I'm not gonna cover with the cardboard and just see what happens. I could always add it on if I need to. So what I'm gonna do on the other side of the trellis, I'm gonna keep a few inches away from the trellis so everything has room, and I think I'm gonna do 2 trenches all the way down. This entire bed I want carrots. I'm gonna do 2 trenches all the way down, and I'll space the seeds 3 to 4 inches apart, and then if I want to thin, I can always thin. I think I am gonna keep them, I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I think I'll do 1 whole trench St. Valerie and 1 whole trench kaleidoscope and see what happens. I think I'm gonna do it that way. But I'm gonna work on making this trench. So you know what? I lied to you. I think I'm gonna do half the bed carrots and half the bed onions. I think I'm gonna do onions down there. I wasn't really considering onions because I started them from seeds and I only have a few, so I was just thinking I could stick them anywhere. But I think if I don't have enough of my own, I'm gonna buy some from the nursery. I think I really want onions this year, so I think I am just gonna start with this bed of carrots here. I'm not gonna get as many as I probably will wish I had, but it's better than nothing. So, all right, I'm gonna do the St. Valerie in this back trench and plant spacing 2 to 3 inches apart, it says, so that's what I'm gonna do. And it doesn't say to thin or anything, so. Oh, carrot seeds are so tiny, I forgot. I'm trying to drop them where I can see them so I can keep up with the spacing because they're so tiny. That spacing was far from perfect, but here we are. And the depth for that is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, just gonna kind of cover them up a little bit. Very lightly. Light, fluffy soil, so I'm not gonna push down really hard. I'm just gonna kind of gently brush some soil over top. All right, so the St. Valerie is planted. Now I'm gonna do the same with the kaleidoscope. And it's got 1/2 inch depth, which I think I've done a good job of doing that with this trench. The spacing, it says thin to 3 inches. It wants the rows to be 12 inches apart, and they're not. They're like 6 or 7 inches apart. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Oh, these seeds are much bigger. This one will be easier. I feel like having different colored carrots will be so fun. I hope that works out and that these grow well, because I would love to have like purple carrots. Now, I have seen in other YouTube videos, I've seen people make a trench and just kind of like pour the packet in and then thin. And that maybe should have been what I did so that I would have a higher success rate, but it just seems so wasteful because then I'm gonna have to, you know, toss whatever I have to thin. So I'm hoping by doing it this way, I won't have as much waste, but I also might not have as much product either. So I don't know. We'll see. This is how I'm doing it this time. And we'll see, and then maybe next year, I'll do what everyone else is doing. Again, I'm just gonna lightly cover this with soil. Okay, so I've got my carrots in here. Now we're gonna move over to the other bed that you haven't seen yet because I've got a couple more fun things that we're gonna plant. And we are back. So I actually went inside to get a drink of water on Monday and saw that I needed to leave for work in 20 minutes and I was not dressed and my lunch wasn't packed. So I stopped what I was doing on Monday, went to work. Now it's Thursday and you may be noticing how pretty this picture is. I got a brand new camera. I've been working with a really old Canon and I'm really excited to have a crisp new picture. So get ready for Cooking with JB 2.0. I'm really excited about this. So here I'm just planting my onion starts. I started these from seeds. I didn't have a great germination rate with these, but I have a few, so I'm gonna go ahead and plant what I have. The other half of this little section I'm working in, I'm reserving for onion starts that I'll buy from the nursery. So no big deal, you work with what you've got, right? I'm actually voiceovering because I didn't want to talk to the camera because my neighbors were outside and I'm not brave enough to do that yet. So here we just have two that were planted into the same cell, but they're really, really easy to tease apart. All right, now we're on the other side of the bed. Here I'm planting my hens and chickens poppy and my candy floss red cosmos. I also have my mother of pearl poppies that I started from seed. I have one amazing gray poppy,
that looks very, very sad. I think it probably just needs a drink of water. And then I have one lavender beauty phlox that I was able to germinate. Only one, but that's okay. So here on the far edge of the bed, I'm gonna plant that lavender beauty phlox. Since I only have one, I think it'll look really pretty here at the end of the bed. Next to that, I'm gonna put one of my mother of pearl poppies. And when I took it out, the roots were pretty brown. They didn't look super great, so I hope they do okay. I started these with my first round of seeds, and they've been in that 72 cell tray for a long time. Trying to keep these decently spaced apart. Next to that, I'm gonna put the hens and chickens poppy. Benny's coming over to see what I'm up to, acting like a total dinosaur, stepping on all my stuff.
Careful, careful.
These were just a surface sow, so I just took 2, 3, maybe 4 seeds and sprinkled them, and I didn't cover them up. Next to that, I'm gonna put the Candy Floss Red Cosmos. These only had a 1/4 inch seed depth, so they just got covered up a little bit. Next to that, I'm gonna put another mother of pearl poppy. You might be sensing a bit of a pattern here, because next to that, I did the exact same thing. I put another hens and chickens poppy, another Candy Floss Red Cosmo, and then in the very end spot, I'm gonna put my amazing gray poppy. If you've ever grown in peat pots, you may know that they don't want to let go of whatever plant is in them. So I'm having to kind of peel this off. And then even so, the very bottom does not want to let go. It's hanging on for dear life. But that's okay. You can actually put that right in the ground. It's biodegradable. I didn't even need to peel off the sides like I did, but I figured why not.
Here are all of my raspberry runners that I have dug up and have attempted to propagate in these pots here. Some of them look very sad, but some of them are thriving and looking really, really good. A couple of those in the back look great. And then this guy here, and on the other side of this pot here, this guy. These are my lilies. I planted them 2 years ago, and they keep coming back. There used to be one roundabout in here, but Benny ate it. He like totally dragged it, roots and all, out of the ground, and nothing's ever come up, so he must have removed the bulbs or something. These were those seeds that I started in the water jugs, milk jugs, that I was seeing so many people do. These two, these are bachelor buttons. These are the only two that I had do anything. The rest of these don't have anything. I just need to get rid of them. It's taking up space at this point, but hey, I mean, this is cool for my first time trying it. I got something.
Here I'm getting out the hose so I can give everything a drink of water, but I took a little spill.
Oh my gosh. Benny. Oh my gosh.
I tripped over one of my new garden beds.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Watering in my new onions that I just transplanted. Giving everything a nice, healthy drink of water. There's something just so relaxing about that. Even my raspberries and my lilies, everybody gets a little drink. Look at that poppy, isn't it beautiful? These are my seedlings from inside. They're outside getting some hardening off time, and I'm just gonna give them a nice shower. A couple of them were very thirsty. Here are my tomatoes. I definitely started them too soon, but I wrote it down in my little plant notebook, and I'm going to remember that for next year and start them probably 4 or 5 weeks later than I did this year. But that's okay. When we transplant them, we are burying these suckers. They'll be fine. The hose couldn't reach that far, so I had to kind of stretch. Look at how beautiful. I cannot wait to get these guys in their new garden beds, their new homes. They can't wait either. They're ready. So happy with how my peppers look back there. They look so good. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I direct sowed in 2 of my brand new garden beds. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what they look like when they're all full grown. And there you can see them in the back there, the ones that aren't finished yet. And my chicken coop. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.